this is very professional, us sitting on the floor with an air conditioner in the background, but here we go. I am interviewing my mom for my literacy project on expanding my literacy. So I guess I'm just going to ask her a few questions regarding the essay that I wrote about to get a little bit more background and different perspective on what I wrote. So my mom, her name is Karen.
Hi, Maeve.
Okay.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Tell me a little bit about what I was like when I was a child regarding reading and writing.
Stubborn.
Why do you say that?
Your father and I would read you bedtime stories and books and stuff all day. A night, seemed like, and you never wanted to try to learn how to read on your own. And like a lot of kids who are read to a lot can be reading by the time they're in kindergarten, and you weren't even trying.
Yeah. Your solution was to bring me to the ghetto? Tell me a little bit about that.
That was years later. Well, one of the funnier things was that the kindergarten teacher, finally started teaching them to read. The children, she was Maeve, her students, and Maeve was getting very angry because she had these homework assignments that involved reading. And we kept telling her, you gotta read, Maeve, you gotta learn how to read. She got really mad. She goes, I don't want to be part of a family that reads! It was like such a weird thing to say, but it was actually really funny. Like, I don't want to be part of a family that is in the mafia!
I took a very serious and passion about not liking to read.
She didn't want to read.
No, I did not.
It did not help that we got an assignment, a military move, and we left kindergarten 6 weeks early. So
That's true. I remember that.
Maeve didn't get the whole lesson, but she had her dad and I, helping her. But she was still like... And then we got her in first grade, and her teacher in Ohio did mention that she was running a little behind. And even there was a park nearby that had big letters on top of these like little stepping stones through a park. And we tried to get Maeve to recognize the letters. She didn't want to. She didn't want anything to do with reading. She didn't want to be part of a family that read. She didn't want to be part of a community that read. She wanted to be part of a world that reads. Anyway, this continued, this attitude, and it was frustrating because usually little kids can, with those board books and stuff, can have some fun reading with it, and with the big pictures and everything. And again, we moved another year, so another state and different ways of doing things and regulations to North Carolina. So we're like DC, Ohio, North Carolina. Anyway. I was in second grade, and it wasn't a very good school. There wasn't a lot of options in that town, and we lived on base. We had to live on base because our dad was a commander. We had to live in commander housing. And we were zoned to a Title I school that had a lot of kids that parents weren't involved and weren't paying attention. I don't know, probably more students in the classroom than optimal. And but Maeve, got along, and off we went to third grade. And that's where I started to get really bothered, because I think that's when they started giving them letter grades instead of like satisfactory or a check mark or something. And it showed up, it was actually, she got like an 82 or something in reading. And I knew her teacher pretty well. And then I was like, well, and then I found out that she'd actually made a 70-something average, but she did extra credit or whatever and bumped her up. So my concern was that she actually wasn't reading that well. And I know average is okay, but I knew she could be good or excellent. So we talked to the teacher, and she explained that, I even was reading to kids myself to volunteer time, and her dad's squadron had people helping, his lieutenants helping with math and reading or whatever. And they were doing the best they can, but I know you need to know how to read to even do well in like math or science or social studies or
it's like word problems and stuff.
But May was able to read, it was just her comprehension wasn't showing that well. And we eventually paid out of the nose to go to Sylvan Learning Center, and they bumped her up a few grade level. She was doing, I think, reading on a 5th grade level by the time we left. And one of the gags that I did to try to get her attention is that I drove her in the ghetto area outside the back gate, the bad part of town there. And there was a bunch of people just kind of sitting on their stoops, hanging out, loitering on street corners with nothing to do, like on a Tuesday afternoon, middle of the week when a lot of people might be working. I said, Maeve, do you see what do you think they're doing? And she was like, knocking or whatever, hanging out. And I'm like, do you think those people read?
I guess not.
Yeah, I guess I'm like, I think they don't have anything to do, no jobs. So anyway, it was just a scare her straight kind of tactic.
Sure.
I guess she remembers it. She's 19, almost 19, and still remembers it.
Yeah, I do. It's a funny story to tell.
But even since then, and she's moved around a bit, she never really got into reading. She seems to absolutely hate it.
Well, I appreciate you letting me interview you for my project. Thanks again for coming on.
It's a pleasure to be here, Maeve. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, Mom. That concludes my literacy project.